Everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Zooming with me from another place in the world is author Nimrod Vromen. Nimrod, thank you for jumping in and joining and talking with me a few minutes today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you also for reaching out. I think it was actually your publicist that reached out and also shared a copy of the book, which is Prompting Happiness. And I know we're here to talk about that project and some of the ideas that you explore there. So curious by means of a first question, what inspired you to write this book?
It was a combination of things. Uh, First of all, I'm 42, so about 3 years ago, I started what I think is labeled a midlife crisis for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to me, it was more like an introspective journey, the beginning of an introspective journey, just looking at my past with the attempt, uh, to learn from it and then to have some lessons learned and take them into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and initially, what it meant for me was to look at my job. I was 16 years a corporate lawyer and see if I wanted to mix it up a little bit. It's difficult to just change that specific job. There's a lot of rut to it. Um, but as I'm contemplating everything in the stress that engulfs where I live, I get this link to GPT, and I see finally this technological revolution that to me is the most meaningful technological revolution that I've seen in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mention, as a corporate lawyer, I represented 650 startup companies from inception through their entire life cycle. So I have this 50-yard line ticket to technological revolutions. And I can see when I'm playing around with GPT that this is like nothing else that I've seen, not the crypto, not the virtual reality and augmented reality, not Web3, not the smartphone that came out when I started my practice or became like household.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, what's the point of this introspective journey if you're not trying to predict what the world will look like with this in it? Like, it's fine to have a midlife crisis circa 72, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're having a midlife crisis circa 99 and you're not thinking about the internet, then the conclusions you're arriving at might not be very useful. And I feel like this is bigger than 99. I feel like this is as big as the atomic bomb, and I can explain why later if you're interested. Um, but those two things, just being 40 and playing around with this tech and understanding it and being an early adopter, it made all the thoughts, it basically put all my thoughts into a sense of like chaos, which means
Mm-hmm.
like this sort of like disorder that you can't really take away anything from. So the point when you see chaos is to try to make order out of it. And the book is me trying to make sense and order out of the chaos. And it ends up being a set of ideas focused on happiness, because that's at the end of the day what I want for myself in the next third or next half of my life. And that's what inspired me to write the book.
I love it. And you're talking about these concepts that, of course, I'm a big science fiction reader, but it's really interesting to see some of these things come about in the world. And when I'm teaching the history of literature, we talk about the atomic bomb, we talk about international, national conflicts, and how we write in response to those things. As you were going through the process of writing the book, I'm curious about the experiences, the questions that were guiding you.
Interesting. Well, first of all, that's a good question. I do want to address the atomic bomb thing, because people might say,
Mhm.
what about internet? What about mobile phones? What's that? What about computers? Are they not as big revolutions? And my answer is this. These technological revolutions all sit on the trajectory or on the path that we were anyway on, which is a path of um, interconnectedness and increased productivity. And
Mhm.
the atomic bomb and AI, which one could put AI on increased productivity, but really they do something different. So the atomic bomb is this one revolution where a day before it was dropped, you were living in a world where there was several billion inhabitants that just dwelled on it. And a day after, those same several billion inhabitants could destroy it in one day,
Hmm.
right? So it's a
Hmm.
whole new world. And then, and that addresses human life on a singular level and on a collective level. If you define humanity as a collective, um, and you define humanity as a collective by looking at the connections between humans, right? So at any point in time, I can contact up to approximately 9 billion other people.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? A day after AI is released in a Turing test passing conversational large language model manner, I can actually connect with infinite entities theoretically, right? I could build entities into the AI and converse with them and not with other humans, and potentially also stop conversing with humans altogether
Hmm.
and converse with a machine. It's a whole new world that we're in, and a lot of people do that. They do just share their thoughts with GPT already instead of speaking with their parents or their community. That is a big deal. In terms of the process for writing the book, I think is unique for two reasons. One, I'm not an author. I don't. I wrote contracts. Merger and acquisition agreements are not in any way books.
Hmm.
Um, they're structured documents that could be 100 to 150 A4 pages long, but they don't have a narrative. They have a structure. And the way that I wrote this book was that I first of all structured it. I had it structured. So it has about 6 parts to it. The first part introduces an original theory for happiness that I wrote when I was 18, then discusses some philosophical framework on purposes of existence, etc. Nothing too unique, I don't think, there, but it's important for framing. The next part introduces large language models and specifically GPT to the reader. So there's a conversation log between me and between GPT and me and some commentary of mine on it.
Hmm.
The next part is prophetic. It's like it includes some prophecies into the future of me as an individual, my family, my community, my country, and the world of business, and then humanity as a whole. The fourth part is like an interlude. It's like a break. We Jews are very influenced by Mein Kampf. That's a book. So I
Hmm.
thought to myself, well, that's ideas of one person. Wouldn't it be nice if this book incorporated some ideas of that person's friends? Maybe they would mitigate the general message. So I conversed with my friends and I added these essays in the afterthought section in part D. They're supposed to like mitigate my ownership of this message because I'm not qualified to really preach on happiness that much. Pardon me. And then the fifth part I'll skip for a moment, and the sixth part lands on an updated theory for happiness by me collaborating with GPT, summarizing the entire book for it through hundreds, if not thousands, of prompts because it's difficult to get all that text in, and asking it to redraft my original theory for happiness based on the journey that was set in the book. And I got a really nice theory back for the next 40 to 50 years. The fifth part is just GPT getting an opportunity to write its own, to just go write its own exclusive monologue that is a mirror of the first 4 parts. So it's like a mini book from AI's perspective, structured as mine. So first of all, it was structuring. And then second, it was using the large language model to face something that I couldn't have faced. A, because I'm not an author, and B, because I don't have time. And that is writer's blocks or
Hmm.
inability to convey certain ideas in the dramatic fashion in which I wanted to convey them. That's where I had the LLM help, right? So aside from doing grammar, fine. Writing, that was me. But if I wanted to dramatize an idea in a conversation, I'm not a good enough author to write an idea as a conversation between two entities. I gave all of the content to GPT and I would ask it to build it in a conversation and then I would edit the tone. So it helped me then basically just jump the hurdles that a lot of writers will face when they're writing a book. So that was the process of writing a book.
Nice, nice. So I love what you're saying there about structure, and uh, it sounds very philosophical in a lot of ways. What do you hope that people get from reading and experiencing the book?
My favorite book is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And,
Yeah.
what I get from it, first of all, I got anecdotes from it. Then I noticed that that I was left with some takeaways, some philosophical takeaways.
Hmm.
And then I noticed that years later, I could tap into this book and explore other elements of the book to extract more takeaways. That's what I hope people take away from this book. So it's filled with anecdotes around my conversations with GPT. I think they're interesting for the reader if the reader doesn't necessarily care about me. It's got some anecdotes about me. If the reader, at one point starts caring about me. And then it has its main takeaway, which I really hope will impact others. And I'll explain what it is in a moment. And then I hope people will go back to it and take other things away from it. The main takeaway is that we are, I think, similar to artificial intelligence, to large language models.
Hmm.
Some will say, um, what? No way. We're not. Technologically, it's not there. And you can't say that we are because it is not sentient, it is not conscious. To which I say, whoa, there's probably about 20% of the books just behind you that contemplate whether or not we're conscious and sentient and have choice. So
Hmm.
we're not even signed off on that yet, right? But let's assume that for a second. Um, let's assume that we are sentient and conscious and it isn't. I think we probably will discover that we make choices in the quantum realm, like in tiny little areas where I show in the book where GPT seems to be making choices in the quantum realm as well. Like I can't explain why an answer that it gave was really the next most probable thing to do.
Hmm.
Why this and not that? I can give an example a bit later. Um, but given that we are similar, let's go to how we use AI for a moment. Some people will say to GPT, hey, write me a song, and it'll churn out a piece of crap. And
Right,
then
right.
the people receiving that will be divided into two groups. One group will say, oh, look at that. It's not ready yet. Not Skynet yet. It's not taking over. This is crap. We can't use it. AI is not there. Those geeks at the Valley, they have to keep working, yada, yada, right?
Hmm.
Another person will say, wait a second, let me give it some more prompts. Let me structure the prompts a bit better, right? Let's see what comes out. They give it a lot of context,
Hmm.
more text than the actual song itself. And lo and behold, it turns out a result that is better than they would have written themselves. And then when we look at ourselves and we think about our happiness, some people will say, hey, I should lose weight. Why don't I just stop eating for 16 hours a day? And then they apply this one simple prompt. Guess what? You're going to get a piece of crap results. 6 months of losing 3 kilograms, 4 kilograms, then you're way back up. However, people who are meticulous with prompting themselves about their body, about their relationship maintenance, about their management of finances and money and resources, about their approach to life, their positivity and their optimism, those people are consistently happy, consistently content. And
Hmm.
that's the message that I want people to take away. And then at the end, there's like lists of prompts, of self prompts that I propose for the readers to borrow and use, and also think up um, of their own, so prompts of their own.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a really introspective process of thinking about what I'm giving to the world and what I'm expecting back in a lot of ways.
Yep, that's right. Um, I I mean, the theory for happiness is like a pyramid. It's got like a base, which is things you must pursue.
Hmm.
The other part is processes you should commit to, and everybody can choose their own list. And the top part is just small tangibles for small wins. But in the bottom part of the pyramid, it's pursuing essentially relationships and a positive approach to life against adversity. And this
Hmm.
book was written while I'm facing real adversity over here. So it's been stress tested. I wouldn't have transacted for that in advance for a war and for all the turmoil that we're in, but it's been stress tested, and it's working not badly actually.
Yeah. Well, anything else that you'd like to add about sort of your vision for a healthy life, vision for the future, before we prompt folks to places that they can go to read the book?
Um, I think that happiness comes from within, but can be affected by external factors as well. So maintaining happiness from within is maintaining a positive approach to life through your own self prompts. However, it can be affected by external factors, entities or persons that you might perceive are there to cause you harm. My most useful prompt for for a positive approach to life is to understand that nobody wakes up, one day and says, I'm going to be the villain in Nimrod's life.
Hmm.
People are just the heroes of their own story. So you can very easily, not easily, it takes work, but you can reverse engineer someone else's actions to their own best intentions without applying a lot of conspiracy theories to it. And when you understand their best intentions, this does not in any way affect what you should do vis-a-vis these persons or entities if they are causing you harm, but it gives you a sense of calm that there is no random evil being caused to you, no random humans waking up to just, hurt you
Hmm.
personally. There's cause and effect that led them to where they are. You should respond, but this like sense of terror, that at least can be, taken off the table, and that helps you start the day in a very stressful environment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if I'm a listener out there and I'm curious, the book is rather extensive. It's around 400 pages in length, and as you mentioned, you have a clear structure going throughout the book. Where might I go to learn more about you and to read the book itself?
Thank you. So the book is on Amazon, promptinghappiness.com. Sorry, on Amazon, Prompting Happiness. And then there's a website, promptinghappiness.com. The website has a lot more information about me, podcasts that I participated in, etc. Most importantly, the website is a community where people can add their own prompts to happiness, which I'm very proud of. So it could become a wider library of self prompts for happiness. And if people are entrepreneurial and care specifically about technology, we also, through a company that I started, own a content platform called Arc Media Network, arcmedianetwork.com, where you can find a lot of content, especially prepared for tech entrepreneurs and futurists, etc.
Awesome. Well, Nimrod, wishing you the very, very best and hoping that lots of folks will find themselves being improved by reading the book, and glad to have you back anytime to talk about projects as they come.